This is a great panel here that I know that you all have been looking forward to. The show, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, is made possible by the imaginations of the people that write for it, and so it is my pleasure to introduce to you the writers of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Starting with Meghan McCarthy.
You guys okay with it too?
Amy Keating Rogers. M.A. Larson. Natasha Levinger. And finally, Josh Haber. It's fantastic. We've all got mics. So you all, I'm sure, know how this works pretty well, and you guys are pretty much vets at this point. Other than Natasha, this is your first panel, correct? Yes, it is.
We just have microphone difficulties.
Yep, loud and clear.
They are.
And is this yours as well?
You need some water up here?
Alright, it's okay. There you go. Josh, is also your first panel, or is this?
Yeah. Does this one work? Oh, mine works.
We'll make sure. So let's see here. Let's start with the basic one, and I know that this is the one that you guys get the most, and you hear in every panel, which is how did you guys get into writing? So, do you want to just start at this end and go down to that end, or do you want to make Meghan go first? It's up to you.
I want to make Meghan go first.
Okay, Meghan. You get to go first.
Is this mic working?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. I went to film school in Florida State and moved out to LA because I got it's kind of like I won a contest. The Disney had a fellowship that they offered that you could send in scripts, and then they would pick a certain number of people to come out for a year and work for them and write. And so I was lucky enough to be chosen. And so I came out and did that, and wrote features for a while, none of which were made. and then ended up kind of getting into TV animation writing, and that's kind of where I've been ever since. And I really love it. It was a great fit for me. So I won a contest.
Woohoo!
I started as an actor, and that's what I studied in college. In order to finish my theater degree, I took a playwriting class, and I didn't expect to do well in it, and I tried to drop it, and my professor wouldn't let me. And so then I started writing plays, and I discovered that I was good at it and enjoyed it. And then I continued on at Cal Arts and got my MFA in acting and continued to write plays. And then I tried to pursue an acting career, and while I was doing that, I was a production assistant at Hanna-Barbera and then Cartoon Network on the Powerpuff Girls. And a play of mine was being produced in Hollywood at the time, and they needed help on Powerpuff Girls with the writing. And I approached Craig McCracken about writing for Powerpuff on the same day he was going to approach me. And so he gave me a chance to write for the show, and I ended up at first freelancing for the show. And then I became head writer of the show. And then I kind of just kept going from there.
You made a new show.
I could have fell in love with writing through literature in high school. I had some English classes that I really loved, like John Steinbeck and Kurt Vonnegut and that kind of thing. And then went to film school because that would be an easier way to make money writing, which it is. And moved to LA and didn't know what I was going to do, and a friend of mine was working at Cartoon Network as a storyboard artist and got me onto a show there called My Gym Partner's a Monkey. Heard of it?
No, we're just being nice.
And then just met some people there, and my next job was on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That's where I met Lauren.
Woo!
And then, yeah, just like Amy, it just kind of takes off from there. So.
I want to know why we don't have those special mics. Can anyone hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Not
2 seats down from you, we can't hear you.
You're very quiet.
That's because, see, the mic wasn't on.
This one works too.
I hate you both. Well,
That's called setup joke.
you're teaching me how to be funny. I started rewriting I Love Lucy episodes when I was in 4th grade. And that instilled a love of writing. And then I became an actress, and that wasn't going so well, so I started writing my own stuff. And then I started writing promos for NBC, and then I started writing TV movies and features, and then I ended up here.
Now it's my turn. I also started out as an actor. It's weird. It's also weird how hard it is to get work as an actor. Yeah, so that didn't go so great. It went okay, but not fantastic. And then I went to film school and thought, well, I'll be a director, and that actually didn't pan out either. And then I was working actually in development in like the very business side of the industry, and I kept seeing, going across my desk, these large checks for writers, and I thought, you know,
Where the hell were you working?
And then you started writing for animation? Boy.
I was working on live action. But I thought, hey, that's a good idea. I should try and pursue that. And I wrote a whole bunch of specs and sent them out to all my friends and everybody that I know, and one of them found its way to Meghan, and she read it and thought that it was okay. So we had a meeting, and then I started writing the show.
That's okay. You know how you're doing.
It was good enough.
Zai.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Now, some of the people, actually, just to give you an idea here, I'm pretty sure that everybody here already knows like all of the episodes that you guys do, like the back of their hand. But to give people a little bit of an idea, because we're going to be doing some questions from the audience, starting with you this time, because we're going to bounce back that way,
That's fair.
is the favorite episode that you have written personally?
Ooh.
This is always a tough one.
Yeah, well, because they're all so good. I mean, how do I pick a favorite? I like my children, which is not untrue. Gosh, I don't know. I think the Flim Flam one was the most fun I had, because I got to write a big fun song, and those two characters are hysterical. So it's really a good time writing for them. I think that was the most fun, even though it wasn't a Rarity episode, and I love Rarity.
Probably Pinky Pride.
Say it, not spray it.
Either the Super Speedy Saturday Squeezy 6000 or Flim Flam, or the Discord episodes, Return Haber. Because they paid less.
My new favorite one that I wrote is Testing, Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Which I should mention is also my newest favorite episode.
I liked Party of One because I couldn't believe that I was able to write an episode where someone was just talking to inanimate objects. And let's see what else. Well, you haven't seen it yet, but I really like the finale of this season. Because it was a culmination of a lot of things, and so I'm proud of how it came together.
Awesome. Well, I know that we're supposed to be taking some questions from the audience. I know that there's a lot of people out there. Just as even a show of hands, how many of you have questions? This is how popular you guys are. You're rock stars. There is a microphone, and is it down here? I want to make sure. It's down here. If you guys could form a line right there at the microphone, then we will get some questions going on here. The lovely lady there will be taking your questions. You can ask them. Show me all the questions. They're positively lying.
She's gonna answer all.
While that's getting set up, Emmy Larson, are you still evil? Are you still evil?
I'll answer that. The question,
well, I just want to know if you're still evil. Evil in general. Yes.
Yeah.
I had someone who wanted me to ask you that. Whenever are you ready now? You guys ready for this? Natasha, are you ready for this? Are you ready? Are you ready for your cue?
I'm ready to get no question.
All right, go ahead. I'm not sure if they're ready. Oh, we gotta wait some time. Luckily, I'm at a table with like really imaginative people that are really good at coming up with stuff on the spot. Because I'm not.
Are we families right now?
Yeah, apparently. All right.
Josh and I are improvisers, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Okay.
I had a job and a fruit.
All right.
We can ask the line question.
All right, we don't know if it's. Oh yeah, that's on.
Hot mic. That's a hot mic.
All right. Hello everyone. This one is for Megan. Hi again, Megan. Last time you saw me, I was injured and walking with a cane. EQLA 12. But that's irrelevant. So, my question is, since I'm not sure what your ranking is on the Hasbro DHX staff, but this seems to be appropriate. Does Hasbro have any plans of any G4 movies other than the Equestria Girls series, or like, is that even a possibility?
I think anything's a possibility. You know, I mean, that's kind of a decision that definitely comes from them and not from me. I mean, obviously, I would want to make a movie, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not something that I don't have the giant checkbook that can fill out the check to make a big movie. So it's not up to me. But obviously, if it was something we could do, I would want to do it for sure.
Go for it. Hello, my name is Steven, and I'm wondering if we're gonna see Derpy at all anymore. I mean, if we're gonna see Derpy more often in the series.
I think, yeah.
I think that was a definitive
Yeah, I think yes. I think Derpy will be seen again. Yes.
Would there be a possibility that we could get an episode that focused on Celestia?
Perhaps. There's some potentially there are some things that will happen in the near future.
Just can't say anything yet.
Thank you.
But I'm going to follow up with your question with if you want to learn more about Celestia and Luna's past,
Oh yes.
you should go purchase the Journal of the Two Sisters, which is coming out on June 10th, that I wrote, and you can find out what happened to them back when they first became princesses and the early years. Currently, it's not about, oh, Celestia, oh, I'm going to go sign this treaty, and, oh. Because that's what she's always doing during her equestrian days. But, early days.
But yeah, if you are a Celestia fan, Amy has written a fantastic book that's coming out soon.
Available for pre-order on Amazon.
Who else
has a book on pre-order.
Hi, yeah.
Hello. My question's for Josh, and
wait, what?
And now, in simple ways, when Applejack and Rarity both switched their personas, that got me wondering, if given the chance, would you swap any other pony personas, and if so, whose would you choose?
Pinkie Pie and Twilight. Just off the top of my head, that seems like the most appropriate. Pinkie Pie and Twilight. Yeah, they should totally switch. Freaky Friday. Can I get that premise approved? Is that cool?
Sure, yeah, done.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Sure.
Could I like your question?
Hello, I'm Monica, and I'd like to ask you a few questions. Lately, I've been noticing that Spike hasn't been up to his potential, and I've been wondering that maybe if you guys could do something with the Keating Crusaders and Spike, since they are in the same age range. Would that ever be a possibility?
I missed the first, but I heard the Spike, but I didn't hear.
Spike's not living up to his full potential, and who and Spike?
Like, because you know how he and the Keating Crusaders are the same age.
Oh.
Maybe they could do some stuff together, because it seems kind of weird that, like, you know, a little baby dragon sitting around with like older mares, and so maybe
he could hang out with the Keating Crusaders.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a couple of fun things coming up.
Yeah, Spike.
Before the end of this season, that Kathy, who plays Spike, just knocked out of the park. So it's not so much hanging out with Keating Crusaders, but he does have some really great episodes and interactions, and Rarity may be involved in one of them. Not in that way. Come on, he's a child. But yeah, he has some good stuff that is hilarious.
This man has a very intense pose here.
I do indeed. Anyways, hello again. My question is, do you think possibly the most hated character in this show will ever be performed? Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon.
Oh, I cannot use the words to describe those because there may be children present. But wait, what was the last part of your question then?
Will they ever be reformed? Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon. Will they ever show some decency?
Maybe? I can't say right now. Possibly. I mean, I like, the fact that they are such a villain to, they're the worst kind of villain, the mean girl, to the Keating Crusaders. There's always a possibility, like, to find out why they're that way and what might make them not so. But we'll see.
Thank you.
So if you can slow down just a little bit, just in general, because the speakers are that way, and it's just a little bit hard to hear on our end. Please.
Hello. Right. My question is, who would you be besties with in the show, out of like all the people you've written?
Amy. I would say probably Applejack, because I have a friend who's basically is Applejack, and I love her. So that's easy.
Probably Fluttershy, because people can speak to animals.
Weird.
My thing.
Thank you.
Rarity. Because we're both really into fashion.
Mine, I think, would be Rainbow Dash. Because I'm kind of sporty. But I'm probably more like Twilight a little bit, with a dash of Rainbow Dash. So I think that probably the two of them would be my besties.
I was actually thinking yesterday about, I've heard that people hate Applejack a lot. And I'm just saying, this is what I've heard. Don't be angry at me about it.
We must find him.
This is what, like, there's like all this like Earth Pony hate or something. This is what people write to me about.
Racist.
This is what I deal with on the Twitter. And so, and I was thinking that Applejack would be a really good girlfriend, and that I would want her to be my girlfriend. And, you know, you can trust her. So, thank you.
Hello. My question is, of all the characters who have appeared in the show, both heroes and villains, who is your favorite character to write for and why? I had to think of something to ask.
Discord is always fun to write for sure. But I really like to write for all of them because they're so unique that you get to take a little part of yourself each time. You know, you're kind of exploring a different aspect of your personality. So it's hard to say who, you know, as you get into a script, you start to hear their voices, and it's really kind of fun to write for all of them. It's good to switch it up and get to do somebody different all the time. So I kind of am partial to everybody.
Yeah, I really enjoy writing for Pinkie Pie, and that's who I've written for a lot. But then this season, I got to write for ponies who I didn't usually get to write for, like Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash and Twilight. And so it was really fun to get to write in their voices. Because I hadn't written for them, in quite a while. But I fall into Pinkie Pie very easily.
Probably Rarity, just because I'm such a fan of Frasier, and to me she's Frasier.
He's my favorite accent.
I guess so.
I don't know.
Come on,
Sorry.
keep it down.
Demand to know why.
I agree. It's fun to write for all of them, but Pinkie Pie also comes probably the easiest to me. Fluttershy. They're all great, guys. They're all great. I think we can agree on that.
I'm gonna say Rarity again, but I enjoy writing for Pinkie Pie too. Although I kind of feel like Pinkie Pie ends up serving a certain purpose in scripts that is really easy and a great go-to. I mean, because I guess I write for them. But I really enjoy it when I do. I really enjoy Rarity, and I enjoy Fluttershy. There's something about Fluttershy where I feel like there's a lot going on underneath that she's not going to talk about, and so she kind of, there's something.
Mike is also, I pretended to be him for April Fool's Day on Twitter. I pretended to be him for April Fool's Day on Twitter.
That was awesome.
That was so fun.
I was the one with the terrible drunk sketches. Anyway.
Also, Hasbro has no association with this.
Hey guys, tell me about a certain episode, story, or plot point that you kind of fell in love with. It was highly recommended you change it, and ultimately you had to change it, and then realized that it was better in the long run.
Oh, it's something we fell in love with and had to get rid of, and then realized that was actually okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens probably a lot, where you are working on something and you think, oh, this is the best thing ever, and then you take a step back, and because every first draft it's called a first draft for a reason. So you can kind of fall in love with something, and then you have to kill it in the next draft, and you usually find at the end of the day there was a reason that you killed it. It was just part of your process to get things down, and you were just in a flow of writing stuff. and then when you go to sort of tighten things up, something's got to go. So it kind of happens I can't nail down like one particular thing because I feel like it happens pretty frequently, and it's something you have to get used to as a writer, that you can't keep everything that you think is the best thing ever, because you have 22 minutes to tell a story.
Yeah. And often you forget about it once it's gone. And we write so many things, and then it airs a year later, and I often forget what I do keep in scripts, let alone things I've cut. So it's kind of gone.
I've never really written anything less than perfect, so I don't. Yes. Now, it would probably be Lunar Eclipse because the character changed quite a bit from the first draft to the second draft, and it ended up being a lot better, the one that aired. The first draft was still fun, but it wasn't nearly as interesting of a character as it ended up being, so probably that.
I agree with everything else. It's, one, I have no memory, and two, I think that's just part of the writing process, is having to throw a lot of stuff out that you love, and then also finding that stuff, it ends up getting better, hopefully. But yeah, that's just part of the writing process.
You second that?
That's fifth.
Was it? Yeah, what is it, 1 to 5th? Yeah, it's definitely part of the process. I think you don't write something unless you love it. No one writes something down that is like, well, that's, and then turns it in. So yeah, I love everything that I write. I fall in love with all of it, and not all of it is worth A, my love, and B, being put on air later on. So a lot of stuff gets cut out. And yeah, I can't think of anything specific. There are some songs that I wrote, but mostly what I think of when I think of those songs is like how cool I rhymed and like, got syllables to match. And when they get cut, I'm like, nah. But yeah, it's just, like everyone said, it's part of the process. It's what we do.
As a kind of a related question to that, but this is kind of I lost my train of thought there for a second. What is like a joke or some kind of a line that you wanted to put into your writing somewhere, but it just has never fit in? Like you've never found the opportunity to put this joke in and probably never will?
Well, I was saying today in my ukulele thing that in The Best Night Ever, Pinky was supposed to do a conga, and it got cut. And then I put it in the goof off in Pinky Pride, and the goof off got completely rewritten by Daniel, and so it got cut again. And so poor Pinky is never going to get to do this awesome conga that I've written, and I keep like trying to shove into episodes. So yeah, it's conga.
It'll see the light of day one day.
So,
keep trying.
No. All right.
Greetings. I would like to know how you manage the time limits, how you manage to write the script so that they fit in the episode time frames.
I mean, when we go to break a story, we know that it needs to be 3 acts, and we know how long the acts have to be, and so we kind of plan accordingly, and know how big, or try to know how big the story we can do in that amount of time. So it really just becomes, again, it's sort of all of this becomes part of the process of writing. You kind of get used to this particular format, and the acts need to be this long, and here's approximately how many scenes will be in those acts. So yeah, so when we sit and we write all the scenes up on the board, we can kind of, it's almost like a math problem in a weird way. I mean, I think of TV writing and screenwriting as emotional math. You're plugging it into this sort of thing, and you know how much time you have and how many scenes and things like that, and where you're trying to get a character from point A to point B. So it just becomes part of what we do.
I have a timer and I actually act it all out. I have costumes, like 22 minutes exactly.
and you know what your page count is. I mean, if you're just if you're asking a technical thing, we know that it's, okay, the teaser is generally, 3 pages, 2 to 3 pages. And then Act 1 is, 10 to 11 pages. And so you're hitting these marks, so if you're getting to that mark and you're going too long, you're going, oh boy, I better go back and cut stuff. And so you know where to gauge things, and you know how many lines you're allowed. And so when just as a technical thing, when you're writing, we know that we can't have a 40-page script because that's way too long. So things like that. You can only hit 30 to 33 pages. So if you're just going, oh, this is the most brilliant scene ever, cut that crap.
Hello there. I got a question for Amy.
Yes.
In the episode of Pinky Pride, there was a scene that Rainbow Dash wears this big cheese hat. Is she a Green Bay Packers fan?
I'm pretty confident that I didn't put that in the script, so that was something added by the storyboard artist.
Yeah, that's Jason and John.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Hey, how's it going? I noticed while watching the show that each season seems to have its own sort of distinct feel to it. Like, it's very easy to determine while watching an episode what season it belongs to. And I was wondering if there was anything that happened maybe between seasons or to the writers, maybe they learned something or evolved in some way to get them to write a certain way as it went on.
I mean, I can't speak to the first 2 seasons, but season 3 and season 4 are the ones where I kind of moved up and became the story editor. And I know, especially for season 4, I just had a very specific plan and sort of a theme that I really wanted to convey with the season. Nothing exciting or traumatic had happened in my life. I think it was just sort of a worldview that I felt like I wanted, and it felt like fit within sort of where we were with the characters at the time. That I felt like, here's something we can say with the season. So it was really more of that, just kind of having a plan and having a point of view that I thought we could carry over for the arc of the season.
Thank you, drive-through.
Hi. I was wondering, this is a question to all of you, when you first started out writing, what was the main thing that helped you the most? Like, inspired you to keep writing, to keep going, just to keep thinking of creative ideas, original ideas?
I mean, when I started writing plays, I just enjoyed writing plays. I just came up with funny ideas that I wanted to put down on paper. And I came up with characters that I enjoyed. And also I had to write it, or otherwise I wouldn't get a grade.
For me, it was reading. It was just like, you read this, oh my god, that's amazing, and then you read a different genre, a different writer. You can do that, that's incredible. You know, it's just so expansive, and you just get caught up in it. And how can I do this too? The well never runs dry. I have no idea what you asked.
We were just saying.
I would say.
That's so profound.
Well, I'm sorry. It's how do we keep writing? How do we?
Yeah, like, how do you keep thinking of just really creative ideas each time you write an episode or anything really?
Oh, I just get an angry email that's like, hey, where's that premise? No, that's totally true. I mean, for creative ideas, specifically for this, I mean, we have these great group of characters, and we do have some sense of where we want them to go and things like that. So that's certainly, you know, we're trying to figure out what these guys and gals would do. And then just in general for writing and what sort of motivates me, I feel like writing is one of the few times where I am not thinking about anything else. When I start, I get in a zone, and the problems of the world disappear, which is an awesome feeling to just do that and be in that sort of sort of mind space. So the fact that I've experienced that and know that I can just go back to that whenever I want, it motivates me to get my butt in the chair and do it.
Thank you so much.
Hello there. I've never watched the show, but I've...
Me neither. I've never seen it.
But I just wanted to know, like, from how all the actors get along on the set, in movie sets, but for you, the writers, how do you guys all, like, get along when it comes to writing, coming up with new ideas for episodes, and do you mostly work in teams, or do you mostly work by yourselves?
I've never hated anyone as much as I hate me.
I don't get along at all.
Well, everybody writes. I mean, we don't have any staff on this show, but except for me. I'm the only one that's on there all day, every single day. So the only time that we really spend together as a group is we have these kind of writer summits for a couple days every so often during the season, where we all get in a room and think about what we're going to have for lunch and look on the internet and think of some stuff and then look on the internet some more. But I mean, we have a really good, funny group of people, and one of the reasons that we love coming to conventions is because it's such an awesome time to get to hang out with each other too and just socialize. But everybody is really fun and funny in the room, but everybody does have to split off and kind of do their own thing and work independently.
Oh, nice. Also,
Hi. I was just wondering, like, I hear rumors sometimes about like how you guys get really negative feedback and things like that, and I'm just wondering, like, how you deal with that, and does it affect the way you write the episodes then, or do you just kind of ignore it, or?
That's pretty much just Natasha, right?
For the most part, I've never gotten any negative feedback.
I like your episodes.
Really.
I only get negative feedback from them. Everyone else loves me. I can't answer that. Thank you.
I think mostly you just kind of have to ignore it. It's like when you're looking at the comment section of something online, and like the worst thing you can possibly do is read the comments in the comment section. Exert as much control as you possibly can to not read the comments, because eventually it's going to be mean and hurtful. Who needs that?
It's also strange on this show because the negative feedback we get is for something we wrote a year ago. So there's this weird like time delay gap of like, oh, I remember what I was doing a year ago, and what am I trying to say?
I think you said it.
I got it. Nailed it.
I'll be honest, it's a total bummer getting the negative feedback. So, you know, an episode will air, and we'll think, hey, that's a good episode. And at first we get all this positive feedback, like, hey, that was really, really good. And then people will begin to kind of overanalyze it, nitpick it. Oh, but I didn't like this little one thing you did, Amy. Oh, that made me so mad. And then everybody starts like, yeah, that made me mad too.
And now that you mention it, now I'm mad.
Everybody starts conversing on it.
I tell you, don't read the comments.
But it's on my Twitter, dude. So they get angry, and I'm like, everybody's so angry about this. And so I get, you know, upset. I'm like, oh, I'm so upset about this. I'm so upset about this. And everybody's reading into it in a way that I never intended it to be read into. And they're all bent out of shape. And I'm so mom now. And my husband's like, stop being so mom. And my daughter says, you know, Mom, you didn't mean it that way. And, you know, so it kind of, you know, can kind of spin you out a little bit. And then I just gotta go, well, you guys are, you know, people who are upset about it are very attached to the characters, and I appreciate that. And I know what I wrote is true to the character as I see that character, and it was approved by everybody. It wasn't just me, it's not like I have the power. It was, you know, it was approved by many, many people, and quite frankly, they have the power. So it's not like I get yelled at as if, you know, it was just me, and it's not just me, or any of us. It's, you know, there's so many other hands in it, and that's the thing that I think people don't appreciate. And then I just have to go, let it go, and move on, and not let it affect the next script. Because that would really suck for me to write, for instance, Pinkie Pie differently because people are all cranked off because Pinkie Pie got upset at Fluttershy, and and made her cry. So it can be challenging because you want to be there to answer folks' questions and bounce back with them, but then people get upset, and people, if you're going to take a positive, you also take the negative. But it can be kind of like, as Mitch said, it was written a year ago. And it's like, wait, why are they upset about that? Something that happened a year ago? Hold on now. And wait a minute, I wrote that a year ago, and then it got taken away from me, and it got animated, and things were added, and da-da-da, and all these other pieces of the puzzle happened. And, it's all these other things. So, there you go. That's my answer.
Well, I'm sorry if some comments did offend you. I never said anything, but that was my question. Thank you.
And I don't think we're saying that like you can't be critical. Like criticism is you're not going to like everything, and there's no expectation that everybody will like everything. I think it's really more for me. It's speaking to the fact if you open a Twitter account to tell me that you hate me and you hope that I die, I feel like you're doing social media wrong. But if you don't like something and you want to critique it, or that's, of course, everybody has opinions on things like that. I think it's when it gets a little harsher.
It's just the level of how people phrase things, which can be nasty. And so that's, having opinions is fine, but calling people names isn't cool. And that's where it gets hurtful, and you go, okay, because, would you say that to my face, kind of thing?
Yeah, they probably wouldn't too. Thank you.
Hello, and since I promised my one fan, I'm Andrew J. Town, and I write terrible fan fiction, which is kind of redundant. But it is fun, and I get the same sense that writing is something you guys enjoy as well. But I'm wondering if if there's that same sense of fun for writing in general, or if the rewards are different, because I'm not sure if it's monetary, of course, you mentioned that before, the rewards you get for writing professionally. J.K. Rowling, but
Is writing still fun when you...
Still fun, or is it rewarding in a different way, or is it just a job now, basically?
Yeah, it's still fun. I don't think we would I would keep doing it if I didn't have fun. I mean, it's not like there aren't days where it's really hard and you're trying to figure something out, you have a deadline and you're freaking out because you haven't figured, there's definitely times where it's not fun. But I kind of compare it to, at least my game of golf, where you just keep hitting in the rough, and you just get that one shot where you're like, oh, yes, that's it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that came out of my brain. I can't believe this is happening. And it's not like that's a constant state you're in, but that high is so great that you come back and do it again. So yeah, it stays fun, and if it doesn't, then you shouldn't do it anymore.
I hate writing. Absolutely hate it.
Can I have your
Every day when I sit down at my desk, it's a torturous, horrible, awful experience. And then it's done, and it's great. When I've written and I have a script that it's done, and then I can read through it and fix it, love it. Writing sucks.
I have to second that. The writing process is awful, but having written is really cool. Like having done something that you completed is great. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm at the point now where I'm starting to actually have fun in the moment a little bit, if I can stop thinking about the fact that I have to hit my deadline, and if I don't get this script done by this certain amount of time, I won't be able to pay my mortgage. And so there's definitely aspects of the job that filter in, but the fun parts of it are, like, I worked really hard to get to the point where I'm supporting myself and my family with writing, and I wouldn't do that if it weren't a cool thing to do.
Thank you very much.
I don't know. I love it. I really enjoy the whole. I feel a lot like what Megan said before, that it's like the one place where I don't think it just kind of comes out of me. And not to say that it isn't terrible after it comes out, but it's fun. The process, I really like it.
This is kind of a twofold question. The general question is, how closely do you work with the animators to put in little background details? Because I noticed in the Princess Twilight Sparkle premiere this season that the Tree of Harmony's design had a lot of Rarity's cutie mark pattern in it, and I was wondering if that was just a coincidence that the animators put in, or if you would ask for that, or that sort of thing.
A lot of that stuff is done, they take that stuff and run with it. Because if we wrote in all the kind of background stuff that you see into a script, it'd be a 200-page script. And including like with background characters. If a character doesn't speak, or if a character doesn't do something that moves the plot forward or interacts with the characters who are the focus of the story, that's all stuff that is done once it goes to board. Just because, again, if we turned in something that was that long, first of all, they would get a 50-page, 100-page script and be like, we can't make this. But yeah, so a lot of that stuff is done with the design of the board artists and things like that.
Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
So I'm a student at San Francisco State University, studying creative writing as a major. And I actually had to think a little bit about this question, because there's a whole bunch of questions I could have asked before I had to come to this one. But it ultimately boils down to the writing process for me. And I wanted to know, when you're asking yourself questions when you're writing a piece, either in the creation process for anything writing, not specifically the show, or in the revision process, what questions and difficulties do you have to face when you're assessing something, say, as character setting, or a character's intensity and their desires or their fears or their values? So in the creation or development process, whether it be for this show or for anything that you write in general, are there any kind of questions, or if there are any kind of questions, what are the questions that you ask yourself, and how you can adjust or modify a character's intensity and their desires or their fears or their values to help reveal that sort of character that you want to portray?
I think the general question is, what kind of questions do you ask yourself when writing to make sure that the characters that, when you're writing them, are true to the characters? Like, what kind of questions do you ask yourself to stay within those bounds?
I mean, usually we try to start with, at least on the show, we start with a premise that comes from a character's want. And making sure that it feels like that's something that character would generally be after or want to achieve. So, I mean, obviously, kind of bad example would be like you wouldn't have Rarity wants to win the fastest flyer in equestrian. Like, that's just not a want that she's gonna, so you're not going to build a story around that. So that's kind of the starting point. And then, as far as like revisions and stuff like that, questions that you ask yourself, it's weird. I mean, if you saw the notebooks that I keep, because we all write independently and I'm writing independently, you would think I was a insane person. Because it is a series of questions when I'm starting off with something. It is a series of questions that's like, okay, is this what the character wants? What if they did this? Oh, well, but that's not really where they would go. It's kind of on a script by script basis for the types of questions. But I do have just notebooks filled with, I'm asking myself, is this where the character would go? Does this make sense? Is this driving? Is the narrative really working here? So I don't know that there's specific questions. It's kind of, each story sort of creates its own questions. What would happen next? Is this how they would behave? And then my job is to answer those questions.
Thank you for your time.
As a sort of latch on something you said there with things there within the voice actors range, It was very different. I know that when you were originally writing for the show, because a lot of it hadn't been recorded and all that stuff. Now that the voice actors have been around and you know them so well, how often now do you take into account, this is the way that you change your writing based on maybe Andrew would do it this way, but it wouldn't be done if it was a different actor doing that. So how often do you take that into account nowadays, now that they're more established?
Kathy's by far the best voice actor on the show, so you're not even close.
And not saying that, just sitting in the back row, right?
Not even close. I don't ever think of that actor specifically, but I think of what they've done. You can listen to so much of their work now and what they've done to the character. So it's not so much just thinking about what would Andrea say. You know what I mean?
It's like what would Spike say? It's so much easier to write on a show where the characters are already established.
Right.
And you just come in and you know just inherently whether this is something this character would say or not.
Yeah, and when you've seen the characters in action, when we were starting out in season 1, it was, we were learning all about them and we hadn't heard them and we hadn't seen them. And so it was a lot of, we were establishing everything. And then when we finally got to see it, it was like, oh, okay, now we see what they're doing. And then it was even easier to start to continue writing for them. And now there's so much groundwork laid. It's all the easier to just jump into the script and write them.
And we know that we could give them such a range of emotions, and this voice cast is so talented that you don't have to think, oh, I can only make Pinkie Pie ever be happy, that's all she'll ever be able to handle. You can take her to some dark places. And Andrea is gonna bring it, and same for all of them. They can do those sort of layers, which is great. And I think obviously one of the things that makes the show so special is that they don't just stay in the same place all the time. They're three-dimensional.
Hello. I was wondering, for everyone up there in the panel, when you're writing something, what is the process that you use to get out of writer's block when you get it?
My life is writer's block. It's just banging my head against the computer until it's done.
I feel like writer's block comes from a place where you can't move forward unless it's perfect. And because this is my job, there are lots of times where I'm like, well, it's not perfect, but my kids need to eat, so this. And just do the next thing. And oddly, that ends up clearing the way for stuff that wouldn't have happened if I was blocked by having to make it perfect. So a lot of times it's just like going, whatever, just doing the thing that you think of, and then you can come back to it and finesse it later.
Yeah, you put a something down, because at least if you have a something, you can go back and change it.
Yeah.
And for me, also, I figure things out when I'm driving or when I'm in a spin class. It's when my brain's doing something else, I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's how I fix that thing that, I put something down and I know I hated it, but then I'm doing something else and I go, oh, okay, now I can go back and fix that that I put down now that I'm doing this, other thing where my brain is, thinking about the writing and fixating about that, and now I can go fix it.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Hello there. I've been wondering, was there any episodes where you guys got stumped?
Got stuck?
Like stumped. You have no clue, no idea what to do, or go further.
Oh yeah.
Is there a
Yeah, absolutely.
We got rid of him and you didn't get to see it.
He's so offended by that. I'm actually gonna just left.
I intentionally have
done all the time. It just hurt him so much he had to leave. Sorry, I can't even talk
I think I know why he has to leave, and I did.
Sorry about that. I do have an option to do that.
You get stuck on stuff all the time, and you just have to push through it. I mean, but usually a lot of times what happens is if you're stuck, it's because it's wrong. When you are telling a story the way that it's supposed to be told, you knock it out like that. because they do what they're going to do. They react the way they're going to react. The story moves the way the story is meant to be told. It is. If you're stuck, go back to the beginning and look at your first act, look at right where you started, and you'll see, oh, the reason I can't move forward is because this was wrong. I started off the wrong way, and I have to rework that. And then you'll find, like, ooh, it just flows right on.
Kind of goes back to the writer's block question. It's like sometimes I think what Josh said is right. You just gotta push through and you'll find the answer, and sometimes you just have to stop and everybody needs we all have to be nice.
I'm Brooke Larson!
Call that water.
Larson, if you're there, if you can hear me, I'm sorry about that. I think I broke a nerve.
Don't blame yourself.
Oh yeah, your 5-second pose.
Next question?
Yeah, next question. Make it not so offensive this time. We don't want to lose these three.
You can hear me, okay, you can hear me. Yeah, well, he chased off the guy I wanted to ask.
He'll be back.
I'm kidding.
You can wait, you can wait. He'll be back. He'll be back in 2 minutes.
When he comes back in, we'll just all
We should, yeah. Make him feel completely awkward. Just
when you go, Larson, we were waiting. We can take another question if you want. If you want to wait for him to come back.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
Is he coming back?
Everybody pretend we weren't talking about it.
We were waiting so long that Megan went after you.
Megan went to fun now.
Hi.
Hey, yeah. This question is for M.A. Larson. I know, it's convenient. Yeah. You think I can have your number? I have a huge man crush on you. Do you think I can have your number? Chance?
Tweet it to you.
What's that?
Tweet it to you.
Alright, fine. Here it is.
It's a good-looking guy.
Hi. My question is...
You want my number too?
No, actually I don't.
Correct answer.
So my question is, will we be seeing any more of the main six's family or past?
Who?
Main six.
main
Will we
six.
be seeing their family? Any more of the main six's family?
Do you have anyone in particular you're asking about? Or just any of them?
Just any of them.
As far as season 4, not that I'm recalling. Anybody?
Oh, let's ask her.
If you follow me on Twitter, you know I had to leave.
Main sixes past or family, are we seeing anybody?
For the rest of this season?
Nope.
No, I don't think so.
No.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Hey y'all. Okay, so you just finished writing the best episode of Pony. Somehow it's been nominated for Best Feature Film at the Oscars, despite the physical impossibility.
I like where you're going.
What are you going to do for lunch now? Lunch.
You'll have to ask my agents.
I guarantee you, whatever it is, she'll tweet it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you want a food item?
That is, the fact that we're not answering this is not an indication that lunch is not important to us, because lunch is super, that's like every writer's meeting. It starts at 10 and we're like, so what's for lunch? What are we doing here for lunch? Let's get in here for, let's get the menu. But
You've asked the question, that's the core of the show.
It's going to turn into a long answer.
It's a tough question, really.
Yeah, we obsess about lunch. So.
Lunch is magic.
We
not
don't
really
know.
going to answer that. We've answered it.
That's good enough. That about explains it. Thank you, guys.
Well, we're grateful for the award.
Frankly, it's an honor just to be nominated.
First off, Josh, I love your shirt. This question is directed at the two newest additions to the MLP writing staff. How did you two end up here? Well, I mean, Josh, you kind of went over this already, but how did you end up writing for MLP?
You go.
Natasha's fanfics were really good.
Everybody out there, keep doing it. Same here, me too. I mean, I was writing a lot, and then I met Meghan. I submitted my sample to her, and that's what happened.
I won a contest. No, it was the same thing. I was trying to get writing work, and some of my writing happened across Megan's desk because I made people who know her give it to her. Yeah, and then she liked this. So, yeah.
Well, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the question.
Do you have any plans on revisiting the Diamond Dogs?
Revisiting Diamond Dogs?
Yes.
Diamond Dogs. In human form. I feel like that's been in something. I feel like that's out there. I feel like I'm not going to get fired.
I don't think I would have said that.
That's not really a
I can't believe you
yeah.
did that.
Yeah, human form. Yeah.
In human form for sure. I'm
I guess that counts.
Yes, baby.
Yeah.
That's the end of Megan's career.
Okay, this question is directed towards Mr. Larson. And the question is, what kind of hot sauce do you like on your wings?
Yes! What?
Magic hot sauce. Sriracha or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, forgive me if this question has already been kind of asked. I've been talking to a lot of people in the line, so almost for every profession, I feel as if making connections is a really big part of making like success. So I want to know where you guys found your connections and where a good place for like maybe some aspiring writers in this room would maybe look for to find connections that would help them in an industry like the ones you work in.
Like bars.
Meet us at Knuckles later.
Amy has like a quintessential.
Yes, Amy
story.
does have the quintessential story.
You were like a PA.
I mean, yeah, I was a production assistant on Powerpuff, and so I was just, surrounded by everybody. So that's how I met Craig. And then while I was on Powerpuff, Lauren got hired. And so then Lauren and I were working on Foster's together, and we became friends. And then I was freelancing, and I was at the Foster's rap party. And
You were there?
And I was rapping, as usual. In between sets, I was talking to Lauren, and she told me about My Little Pony, and that she was pitching this to Hasbro. And she said, hey, if it gets picked up, I would like you to write on it. And, that had everything to do with this relationship that we had. And so that's how, I ended up on the show. So yeah, it was all those connections.
I mean, there is a matter of like it's who you know, but it doesn't mean you have to know them right this minute. Like, and you can meet them in a lot of different ways that, like Amy's talking about, she was a production assistant on a show. She wasn't a writer on that show, but she was close to the people who made the decisions about that. So that's a big part of it, is getting another job in this industry in a different position, but having the writing, you know, having written something. So once you've made that connection, you can say, hey, well, you know, will you take a look at this? And if you're a nice person that hasn't like been a jerk to them, they'll probably say yes. But there are lots of different ways to meet people who can give you connections to other people and things like that.
And they knew I was a writer because I had plastered posters for my play all over the studio. And I kept saying, come and see my play, come and see my play. And they came and saw my play, and so they knew that I was a weird writer. So Craig took a chance on me, and they knew I was dependable because as a production assistant, I did my job. And so, that's what they needed. They needed somebody, well, they didn't necessarily need a weird writer, but they knew that I, you know, could probably do the job and that I was dependable. And so being that person who was there and you know, being that person and, you know, was, you know, the right person in the right place, and you know, all those things all fell into place.
I think it's basically just don't be afraid to take any job, because when you're on a show, you meet the people on the show ends, they all end, and they all go off to different shows.
Just get out and meet people.
Yeah.
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 Woo! All right, thank you.
Amy, do you still consider yourself a weird writer?
I'm sorry?
Do you still consider yourself a weird writer?
Yeah.
All writers are weird.
Yeah.
We've got
incredible rapper.
We got one more question. The epic conclusion to the writers' panel here.
Better be epic.
I was wondering, is there maybe a chance that we ever will see the straight-haired Pinky again in later episodes?
Straight-haired Pinky.
You know, we kind of like, I mean, that kind of speaks to the knowing what Andrea can do with that character, is that it's certainly a place that we know we can take Pinkie Pie into those sad, dark places. Sure, perhaps, if we spark to something. It's always like, what kind of story do we want to tell with her, and is that something that feels, when she goes to the straight hair Pinky, we're taking her pretty far over on this side, so something pretty intense has to happen. So we have to find the right story where that feels right.
Thank you so much. Because of the fact that there's so many questions that people want to ask you that it's being split into two panels. There's one tomorrow. So before we get to our epic to be continued, do you guys have anything that you want to leave us with that you might want to? I don't know if you want to. I don't know if Megan wants to drop us, you know, some kind of a really crazy fake spoiler like she does on Twitter.
Well, nobody asked what's in the box.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
Never tell.
Hashtag what's in the box?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I can totally tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, bad box. Oh, you missed it. I got it.
Tomorrow's panel, we're going to answer the questions we dodged today.
All of them. I think it's
What? What am I supposed to answer?
I don't know. Just something to leave us with before the panel tomorrow.
I'm going to be drinking a Bellini tomorrow morning.
So there's probably a lot of secrets will come out.
Yeah, so all the secrets will be revealed.
At tomorrow's panel, you'll find out where each one of the people who left the panel went to.
I'm going to leave the panel tomorrow.
Yeah. We're all taking turns with being the best secrets.
I may not be drunk at tomorrow's panel.
Once again, I would like to get a huge round of applause for these wonderful